What exactly are we talking about?
Politics. Sports.
Education.
We'll tell you anything you want to hear.
We talk, you listen.
Big's Golf Talk.
Well, here you all are, waiting to hear my broadcast. How very nice of you.
Big's Golf Talk.
America is talking and yakety yak.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's all about talk.
A place for information, advice, golf news, golf reviews, and of course, golf humor.
Do you know who this is?
Big's Golf Talk.
Comes highly recommended. You're gonna feel better if you talk to him.
That's the fact, Jack. Now we'll talk.
Big's Golf Talk is presented by Tour Edge Golf, golf's most solid investment. Pound for pound, nothing comes close. BGT is also sponsored in part by The Distance Shoe, Squares Shoes, proof, not promise. Anson Belt and Buckle, premium belts for everyday use. AnsonBelt.com. Encore Golf, golfknickers.com, The Claw Glove by Caddy Daddy, Photo Ball Marker, and UFO Tour Golf. Connect with Big's Golf Talk on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Big's Golf Talk. Subscribe with us on YouTube and iTunes, Amazon Music, and the Google Play Music Store. We're also available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all your Alexa devices. Our website is www.bigsgolftalk.net or .com, BIGGS golftalk.net or .com. I am Big John Quick. She is the golf diva, Amanda Sensor, and our third that takes over in the second hour will be Greg, the golf wise, the wise way, the wisest man in golf. Greg Wise is going to be joining us in the second hour. I can get it out. It's been a long week, Amanda, coming back from Indiana and covering the Epson Tour LPGA event that was happening out there, and running into Sarah White. She was there.
Yes.
And seeing some of the girls that we are so familiar with that's trying to get to the road to the LPGA and sometimes losing their LPGA status and having to start back at the Epson Tour to try and get their card back on the tour. Seeing these girls work hard. 8 weather delays, Amanda. 8 weather delays in 4 days.
I was getting updates and I was just laughing because I spoke to a couple people and they were like, this is insane. This is literally insane, because and it kept being like, just when they thought maybe, nope, just kidding.
Yeah. It's like,
just kidding.
Well, as you know, on the tour, you could play through the rain, and so it gets to an unsafe point. But most of the time, even the only time we don't see people playing in the rain is when it's a heavy downpour.
But and even then,
rain,
like it basically has to form puddles on the green that are going to float your ball.
Right.
Like if they're not rolling anymore because they're literally floating to the hole like that. And if it's like, man, I've played in some really, really bad, like sideways rain that you thought there's no way they're going to have us play. You just got to wait it out long enough to kind of flood the golf course. But it's amazing. Like these girls, just that's what you signed up for, and they have their rain gear and they're ready to go out. But
however, the suspensions were never ever about the rain itself. It was more about the lightning.
And so you just can't.
Right.
Like the minute that lightning occurs or even thunder is in the general area, if they know a storm cell, they'll just call them in, because it's definitely not worth it. And I have met so many people that are like, oh, that doesn't happen. Like you don't get struck by just go ask Lee Trevino. Okay.
Yeah.
So he should win the lotto, because
you who has, golfed at the highest of levels, the worstest conditions. And you talked about, sometimes the rain, comes down sideways. Do you slow down your focus, or do you slow down your momentum for more concentration in an atmosphere as such as that?
So whenever it's funny, my whole career, I always played better in inclement weather. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. But what happens is you shift your focus from, and you can ask any girl on tour, you go from trying to be perfect and trying to like shape a shot in or overthinking a putt to I've got to just hit and make good contact. And I always thought, man, that's all I've got to do on a regular round is think about good contact. Like, don't think about, but you don't. You overthink everything because the sun's shining, you have time, like it's all good. But when I've played in some really bad rain, really bad wind. I just focus on hitting the ball forward. I want to strike this well. So you take a little shorter backswing, you're hitting knockdown shots. And it's amazing how well, and I'm telling you, I always played better. Like you said, your focus, you almost bring in your focus, but just to that one point instead of having so many things you're thinking about. It always.
I got to imagine a drenched green is
Oh
not going to break as much and
no,
it takes away the break as you would. Let's just say in a practice round, you get yourself and you make those notes on a dry green, even when the green's been watered, right?
right.
Or, in the morning when you have the dew. But when you have a drenched, rain-filled
Yeah.
green and without puddles, but it's still rain drenched, it takes
Mhm.
away some of that strategy where you may
Right.
have seen in a practice round.
At that point, it comes down to just make a good stroke, put a good roll, and hope you get lucky on the speed, honestly, because I don't think we go out and really practice in torrential downpours. Where I see, I mean, there are some things that as you've played in those conditions, you start to learn like, hey, I can kind of tell, is this a just a little bit of rain, or is this a one club different rain? Or,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I've got to club up two because there's wind and rain. Or so those things you get more proficient at. But I think overall, like even amateurs, if you go out and play in inclement weather, just focus on putting good impact on the ball and you'll be amazed at how much better you hit it.
And probably a good indication for those amateurs out there, if you are competing in a round where for me, if I'm competing just socially and it's raining, I'm off the course. I
Yeah.
don't. It's
I
not fun.
mean, no.
But if you're competing in a competition where they're continuing the round and everything else, use that rain as your indicator on how the ball is going to fly because that rain, whichever way that rain is
Sure.
moving, is the way that ball is going to move.
Right. 100%. And, I think overall it's just amazing to me how active our minds are. So when you have something that I always felt like inclement weather shut down my brain a little bit in a good way because I don't I'm not, like you said, I'm not going out reading the green in the same way because how do you read a green that half of it's floating away? Like,
Yeah.
and when it gets that bad, they definitely do call it. But I've played some pretty rough conditions in Canada and just throughout the US that you're like, oh, if I didn't have to be out here, I probably wouldn't be.
Coming back from French Lick, Indiana, French Lick Resort, certainly a great, great time. Highly recommend the French Lick Resort. And by the way, if you live in that area and you're looking for a job, everywhere in French Lick, Indiana is hiring, including the resort. I mean, Amanda, they go from, I think he said 1,900 employees down to 700 employees.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
nuts to
Um,
operate on less than half staff.
Yeah. So there's a lot of amenities that weren't available 24 hours a day just
They
because
weren't
they
staff.
didn't have the staff. I mean,
Jeez.
first day I was there, Amanda, I was hungry, looking for something to eat. Room service closed at 10 p.m. So to have that happen at, room service typically has a 24-hour operation.
And that's really your only option when you start getting into the later hours because everything else shuts down. You
But
rely on that.
good thing I was in a part of the resort where I was also in the same building as the casino. Uh,
Okay. So
not
the
not
casino.
well, it's a good thing and a bad thing because typically at the casino you have 24 hour. As long as the casino's open, there's food. There's
Sure.
food and drinks, right? So they did have like a little deli shop where me and
Sure.
my producer we went and had something to eat down at the deli and all that stuff. And sure
Right.
enough, I'm on the way to the deli. I threw $1 in, and I won a couple bucks. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go continue on and get some to eat.
Sure.
On my way back, I threw that couple bucks back into the machine, and I won 35 bucks on a penny
Right.
machine. So I was kind of lucky in that manner on the first day. I'm like, oh, this is a good start to this trip,
Right.
you know. So I held on to that $35 for a couple days before I went back and threw it back in the machine and
Throw it back in
yeah, throw it
eventually.
back in,
Sure.
right.
Sure.
But certainly I highly, highly recommend. So much history, and certainly the French Lick experience is going to probably be beyond 2 hours of a special that we're going to have on YouTube TV. And look forward to that. Our producers, producing it and piecing things together that we did, interviews and stuff like that. But today we're going to share a part of the French Lick experience with you, with an interview with an employee who, as she's cleaning, she sings. And what a voice she has. When she's going to be on the show today, we're going to have that interview with her. Also, Ecuador's very proud Daniela, and I can't pronounce her last name properly, but she wound up in the top 4 of the tournament. And we interviewed her after round number 2, talked about the challenges of the weather delay and other things, and special thank you to Best Western and French Lick for allowing us and lending us one of the rooms to interview Daniela into. And it was a great interview that Greg and I had with her, and a big story, by the way, between that golfer and our co-host Greg Wise, and a long history between her and that family, the Wise family. So we're going to have that on the show today.
Nice.
And we'll talk to Gary Wise about a wrap up about our French Lick experience and what's to have on YouTube TV with the French Lick experience, and much, much more, including our big project of the week. And I'll tell you what, guess what I got? I just received like 2 days ago. Look at this.
Oh, they look so good. So
Square
good.
shoes. We
So
we
good.
talk about foundation. We talk about how you have to keep your footing and stuff in wet conditions. You want to have great footing and great traction. Square shoes right here, baby.
Shoe.
This is the shoe to have a great foundation and great traction. Look at that traction on the bottom.
Oh my
You
gosh.
golf in rainy weather and you golf in dew and stuff like that, you will not lose your footing having square shoes. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, they look sharp. They're just a good looking shoe on and off your foot, and like you said, they
And they
work.
feel good too. I mean, I wore
They do feel
my
good.
square shoes from the hotel to covering the event, and I walked around in them all day long, with covering the LPGA event with the Epson Tour. And then how about this? The winner walking away with just a little over $50,000, the highest first place purse in the history of the Symetra and Epson Tour. Things are going in the right direction, Amanda Sensor.
Yes, golf is going in a great direction right now, and I'm excited.
So, and they expect that purse to grow for next year. So,
Great.
congratulations to French Lick Resort and the sponsors and things coming forward and providing that purse. And what a great final round it was. It went down to the 18th green. And I believe she's from Japan or China. She's an Asian Tour player. Pulling it out on the 17th green, birdieing where the first place winner actually bogeyed, and there was a flop from first and second place. And the second place, all she needed to do was birdie the 18th to send it to a playoff. And unfortunately, she only parred it and gave the win to that person. So
What a heartbreak.
it is. You've been in that position,
What a heartbreak.
It's nothing like, having that bogey in the late part of your round,
I can't tell you how frustrating it is I just went out and played the other day and literally played solid all day. And I was shocked. I didn't have high expectations. Obviously, I don't practice like I used to, but went out and had a solid round, and you get freaking hole 17 and had a bogey and bogeyed the last 2 holes. And I'm like, and I shot 73 with 2 bogeys to finish, but you don't want to finish that way.
So her putt for par did a rimmer around the thing. Half the ball stayed on the edge, and she literally just looked over, looked at the edge, and just shaking her head. Come on, fall. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't fall. It just would not
You
fall.
need a little
Had to
Caddyshack action
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, and had to tap it in for a bogey. So, it's just things like that that you go back and you look back on. But all right, we're gonna head into our first break here on Big's Golf Talk, and when we come back, Amanda with On Par with Amanda Uncensored here with the Golf Team. We'll be right back right after this.